Hey guys, tonight we're going somewhere wild, not just untamed, but prehistorically brutal. Imagine waking up alone in the middle of a dense, mossy forest. It's damp, it's dark. You don't recognize the smells, or the sounds, or the way the wind sneaks past every layer of your clothing or lack thereof. There are no signs, no cell service, no houses, and definitely no soy lattes or breakfast burritos on the horizon. You've been dropped into the Stone Age, not figuratively, literally. You probably won't survive this dot, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, while you're at it, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. I love seeing who's drifting off from all corners of the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your first memory is not a thought, it's a shiver. You open your eyes to filter green light flickering through leaves overhead. The ground beneath you is not a bed, but a bed of sticks. A damp patch soaks through your side, and a curious ant is already investigating your ankle. You sit up, groggy, brushing away leaf litter and confusion in equal measure. Your instincts fire, but they're tuned for traffic lights and coffee orders, not survival. The air smells like wet bark and something vaguely animal. There's a strange pressure in your ears, maybe from elevation or fear, or just the echoing silence that stretches between bird calls. And that's when it hits you. This isn't some national park. There's no ranger station coming up. No bench, no signage. You're barefoot. You're wearing, at most, a rough fur pelt that smells like someone else wore it for a year and then died in it. There's nothing in your hands, no phone, no flashlight, no emergency whistle. Just 10 wriggling fingers and a lot of modern-day regret. The forest around you is dense. So dense you can't see more than 10 feet in any direction. Shafts of sunlight cut through the canopy in golden spears, illuminating small clouds of insects and stirring leaves, but otherwise, it's like waking up inside a painting that doesn't want you there. You try to stand. Your legs tremble. Everything's sore, even though you've only just begun. The ground is uneven, littered with roots, slippery with moss. You stub your toe instantly on what might be a rock or a prehistoric booby trap for all you know. Number. Shoes, that's right. There are no shoes in this timeline. The trees here are ancient. You can almost hear them creak and whisper above you. You imagine one of them falling, just one, and realize with a shudder there'd be no one to hear you scream. Or worse, find your bones. Already, your mind begins to bargain. Okay, maybe I can find a trail. Maybe there's a cave with helpful cave people. Maybe someone left a time-traveling vending machine full of granola bars. But let's be real. You're the alien here, the outlier, the one who wouldn't even last a lunch break. And yet, this was life once. The Paleolithic era, stretching from around 2.5 million to 10,000 years ago, was humanity's longest chapter. For most of our existence, this was home. This wet leaf in your hair. That strange bird call that sounds like a murder in slow motion. That buzzing in your ear, hopefully not a mosquito carrying prehistoric malaria. Here's a fun historical tidbit. Early Homo sapiens had larger brains, on average, than we do today. Not smarter, necessarily, but better adapted for sensory processing, muscle control, and survival intuition. Your smartphone swiping brain? Yeah, not optimized for dodging venomous snakes or remembering which berries won't make you convulse. Also, you're already hungry. That gnawing feeling in your stomach isn't just psychological, it's your metabolism realizing this isn't a juice cleanse. You have zero idea where to find food and zero tools to get it. No weapons, no map, no TikTok survival hacks. You walk. Every step feels louder than it should. Twigs snap. Your ankles twist. Something large rustles in the underbrush, and your soul briefly vacates your body. You freeze. Is it a boar? A bear? Something worse? Fun fringe theory time. Some researchers believe early humans may have developed anxiety as a survival trait. You know, that panicky inner voice that says, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't poke the giant sleeping thing." That voice is currently screaming, you don't know which direction to go, so you just keep walking because standing still feels worse. But each new step only confirms your suspicion. You are not made for this. You might last an hour, maybe two, but already modern conveniences haunt you like ghosts. Even the sun seems accusatory, rising higher now, burning through the mist. You're starting to sweat, but that sweat isn't cooling you off. It's just drawing bugs. And the worst part? You're still alone. Utterly, terrifyingly alone. Somewhere, deep in the forest, a stick snaps again. Historians still argue whether early humans hunted in packs by day or night, but you're starting to suspect it wasn't solo. Not ever. Because this silence is too loud, and this world is too big for one person to survive in without help. The ant is back. He's brought friends. You start to notice your fingers are going numb. Not in the way they get from scrolling too long, but that deep, creeping numbness that comes from raw exposure. Your skin is damp. The wind cuts through that questionable animal pelt like it's made of tissue paper, and there's no sign of warmth on the horizon. You start to shiver, not a dramatic Hollywood tremble, but the tiny, involuntary jolts that betray your body's slow descent into hypothermia. You try to hug yourself, but your arms are cold too, and your teeth begin to chatter like they're gossiping about how dumb this whole time travel experiment was. You think, fine, I just need to get dressed. Except there's nothing to get dressed with. No backpack, no suitcase hidden behind a bush. Just this patchy, stiff hide draped over you like it once belonged to an unlucky raccoon. You reach down to adjust it and discover a delightful surprise. It's crawling with lice. You slap one away and gag a little. That's fashion in the Stone Age. Lice included in reality. Stone Age clothing wasn't just functional, it was survival. Gear. Early humans used sinew to stitch together animal skins, layering fur for insulation. They even developed awls, primitive needles made from bone to keep things fitted. Not flattering, but fitted. Historians still debate when exactly tailored clothing became the norm, but we know Neanderthals were rocking thick hides long before Fashion Week was a thing. But you? You've got one sad pelt, maybe two if you're lucky and resourceful. And unlike the originals, you haven't rubbed fat into it to make it water-resistant. It's like trying to wear a soggy carpet in a freezer. The cold doesn't feel romantic. It doesn't feel crisp or brisk. It feels personal, like the entire environment has decided that your body temperature is offensive. Your breath fogs up in front of you, and your toes begin to feel like frozen chicken nuggets, minus the comforting promise of an air fryer. You need to move. Movement creates heat. So you stumble forward, arms tucked in, trying to remember anything Bear Grylls ever said that didn't involve drinking your own pee. You spot a patch of sunlight and aim for it, hoping it offers more than just false hope. And as you walk, you begin to understand the fragility of your body in this world. There's no central heating, no heated car seat, no dry towel. And the weather? It changes with zero regard for your schedule or needs. Early humans had to adapt quickly or die trying. Animal fats were rubbed on the skin to block wind. Fire wasn't a convenience, it was life or death. And layers of fur weren't just cozy Instagram aesthetics. They were the difference between waking up and never waking again. Some fringe researchers suggest that early humans may have hibernated in short bursts during brutal winters. Microhibernation, like modern-day torpor, sound crazy? Not entirely. Our cousins, the Neanderthals, show skeletal signs of cyclical malnutrition, possibly indicating periods of inactivity during lean months. If that were true, your best survival strategy right now might be curling up in a ball and hoping evolution cuts you a break. You bend down to inspect the ground. Maybe you'll find something to wrap around your feet. Bark? Leaves? A helpful prehistoric slipper dropped by a generous caveman? Nope, just a sharp pebble you immediately step on, driving a jolt of pain up your leg. That'll be a future infection. Congratulations, and it's not just the cold. It's the constant exposure. There's no inside to run to. No heater to blast. Your skin is exposed to the wind, your eyes to the glare of sun bouncing off snow or dewy leaves. Even your ears hurt from the breeze. Everything is either too cold, too wet, or too rough. You duck under a low-hanging branch, your fur scraping against bark. The scratch across your back stings, and you flinch. Blood in this world isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a neon sign to predators and bacteria. You mutter a modern curse word under your breath, which echoes absurdly in the trees, sounding as helpless as it feels. It hits you again. Early humans weren't just brave. They were hardened, conditioned, evolved. Cold wasn't something to post about. It was something to fight every single day. Their bodies grew thicker hair, more muscle, and stronger bones than yours. Your version of strength training is lifting a laptop bag. You crouch beneath a crooked tree, trying to shield yourself from the wind. The bark scrapes your back, the moss is wet, and something squishes under your thigh. You don't want to know what it is. You curl tighter, trying to trap your own body heat like it's the last candle in a blackout. Above you, the sky shifts. Clouds move in. The light dims. You start to worry it might rain. Then you laugh, softly. Of course it's going to rain. Why wouldn't it? Rain without shelter is just nature's way of saying, you're welcome. There's a part of you that wants to cry, but you don't. Not because you're brave. Because your tears might freeze to your face. And just as you consider curling up and accepting your frosty fate, a shaft of weak light breaks through the clouds. It hits your shoulder, faint but real. You tilt your face toward it like a houseplant, on its last breath, drinking in a moment of reprieve. For just a second, the cold is not everything. You exist shivering, yes, but alive. You begin to move again. Every step aches, but every step also proves something. You haven't given up yet. Not entirely. Not while there's still a scrap of warmth to chase. Still, if this is just the start of your day in the Stone Age, you're in deep, deep trouble. Your stomach growls. Not the polite little rumble you get between brunch and a snack, but a full-on prehistoric beast trapped inside your abdomen. The kind of hunger that wraps itself around your spine and whispers, "You're going to eat something." Or you're going to eat nothing forever. You glance around. Trees, leaves, more trees. This lush green environment looks promising, right? Like something out of a nature documentary where the camera zooms in on ripe berries, plump rabbits, and a handy squirrel-shaped snack pack. Except this isn't that episode. You're not a forager, a hunter, or even competent at recognizing which plants won't make your intestines explode. You're just you, standing alone, already half frozen, and increasingly desperate. Let's state the obvious. There's no fridge, no pantry, no paleo diet cookbook. You're on your own with absolutely zero edible knowledge. What you do have is a very modern weakness for processed foods and an emotional attachment to breakfast burritos. You'd trade a limb for a bagel. Too bad you're about to realize how many limbs you'll need just to get something vaguely edible into your mouth. You think you see berries, bright red, clustered on a bush. You approach them like they're sacred, hands trembling, and then you pause. You should pause, because in the Stone Age, the number one rule of eating wild berries is this: most of them can kill you, or at least give you diarrhea so intense that dehydration finishes the job. Historians still argue whether early humans learned about poisonous plants through trial and error or intergenerational knowledge. Either way, it involved watching someone eat the wrong leaf, convulsing for hours, and collectively going, "Okay, not that one." You wish you had a Neanderthal grandma to slap your hand away right now. Instead, you back off and keep searching. Hunting. Ha! You can't even swat a fly effectively. You see a rabbit dart across your path and for half a second imagine tackling it. But that fantasy ends quickly when you realize you have no weapon, no speed, and not a single athletic bone left in your cold, hungry body. Early humans made tools from flint, bone, and antler. Even a decent club required skill, knowing how to wait the end, how to grip it properly, and most importantly, how to not drop it on your own foot. Some fringe researchers believe throwing weapons were developed before stabbing ones, giving us an evolutionary edge against larger prey. Right now, your best shot is lobbing a pinnacone and hoping it causes existential confusion. But there is one possibility: foraging. The less glamorous, less bloody path to food. Roots, nuts, edible greens. If you had time and some decent Stone Age mentorship, you might have a shot. But instead, you wander aimlessly, kicking at tree trunks, lifting bark, sniffing random leaves. Like they owe you an explanation, you spot mushrooms. They look plump, tempting. You crouch. One has little white dots on it. Oh no, nope. You remember something about those being deadly. Fly agaric? Hallucinogenic at best, fatal at worst. You walk away again, cursing every survival show you half-watched but never paid attention to. By now, your stomach's taken matters into its own hands. It clenches, knots, and churns like a dryer full of rocks. You feel weak, dizzy. Your legs start to betray you, not dramatically, but in little ways. A stumble here, a wobble there. Your blood sugar is plummeting. You're living the hangry meme, but in real time and with potential consequences. Then you hear it, buzzing. Could it be ... bees? You follow the sound, tripping over roots until you spot a hive tucked high in a tree hollow. And for the first time today, you feel hope. Honey was a valuable resource in the Stone Age, sweet, calorie-rich, and full of nutrients. There's evidence that early humans sought it out regularly, braving swarms, climbing trees, risking everything for that golden nectar. In fact, ancient cave paintings in Spain show human figures scaling cliffs with baskets and ropes to gather honey, which is to say, this isn't going to be easy. You try throwing a stick at the hive. Predictably, the bees don't like that. A small cloud forms. You run. Your inner monologue is now just screaming, but you remember the spot. And if you were braver, or maybe just hungrier, you might try again later. That's assuming you make it to later. Now fully drained, you collapse onto a patch of moss that looks less murderous than the rest. You dig into the earth with your fingers, half in despair, half in some childish hope that anything might be buried. A root, a tuber, a gummy bear someone dropped from the future. You find dirt and a wriggling grub. It's about the size of your pinky finger, fat, pale, squishy. You stare at it. Then you do what Stone Age survival demands. You eat it. It bursts in your mouth. It's cold, mucusy, slightly nutty, mostly awful. But your body doesn't care. It gets calories, protein, the bare minimum to keep your legs moving and your brain half functional. You lie back, eyes closed, chewing mechanically. This is your new reality. No drive-through, no fridge raids. Just bugs bark and maybe some bees if you're feeling bold. You chuckle bitterly. A joke forms in your mind, weak but real. Why did the modern human cross the forest? To find a snack that didn't kill him. No one laughs but the trees. You're no longer cold. That might sound like progress, but it's actually a warning sign. The chill hasn't disappeared. It's just seeped so deeply into your bones that your body's stopped complaining. A quiet body in the Stone Age is rarely a good thing. It means the systems are slowing down like a phone on 2% battery. Just enough juice to blink, not enough to stream anything. But now there's a new sensation. Not quite pain, not quite fear. It's watchfulness. You feel it on your skin, a subtle shift in the atmosphere. Like you're not alone anymore. Like something ancient, quiet, and extremely toothy is watching you try to survive in its backyard. Welcome to your first lesson in prehistoric predators. You rise slowly, scanning the trees. You don't see anything at first, but your instincts are screaming in a way that all your modern comforts have dulled for decades. The hairs on your neck prickle. Every snapping twig becomes an alarm. And somewhere, just out of sight, something stirs. Let's talk about the Stone Age food chain. You're not on top of it. Not even close. Back in the Paleolithic, the Earth was like one big "don't go in there" warning. Eurasia alone boasted cave lions, bigger and bolder than their African cousins. Saber-toothed cats were still prowling around in some areas. Hyenas weren't just scavengers. They hunted in packs with bone-crushing jaws and zero chill. Historians still argue whether early humans competed with or avoided these apex predators altogether. But make no mistake, you aren't competing with anything. You're the lunch special. A low growl ripples through the underbrush. You freeze. Your brain tries to organize your options. Climb? Run? Play dead? Throw your one lice-ridden fur like a magician's misdirection? Before you can choose, there's movement. Fast, silent, predatory. You don't see teeth or claws, just a blur. It vanishes as quickly as it came, leaving broken twigs and pounding adrenaline in its wake. Whatever it was, it's testing you, playing with you. And you are completely unequipped to play back. You remember reading something, probably in a clickbait, listicle about how predators respond to weakness. Don't run, don't crouch, make yourself big. Which is hilarious, because right now you are the exact size of a panic attack. You grab a stick. It's too light, useless. You throw it away and pick up a heavier one. Maybe if you swing it hard enough, you'll buy yourself a minute. Maybe. This is how early humans lived every day. Not just surviving the weather or the hunger, but constantly scanning for what might leap from the dark. They moved in groups not just for hunting, but for protection. They set fires not for ambience, but as a predator deterrent. Some fringe anthropologists even suggest that storytelling around the fire started as a way to keep people awake, because falling asleep alone in the open was often a fatal decision. You, however, don't have a group. You don't have fire. And the only story you're telling tonight is one about how you bravely got eaten before noon dot. But here's the catch. Sometimes the things that can kill you aren't even predators. There's a rustling above. You look up and a giant branch crashes to the ground a foot away. No animals. Just gravity. Just an old tree limb deciding to let go. You blink at it. Stunned. Stone Age forests were wild and unmanaged. No park rangers. No cleared trails. Every step is a gamble. Holes, hidden burrows, sharp rocks, thorny vines. And let's not forget the snakes, many of which weren't venomous, but some absolutely were. You remember with sudden clarity that there are no hospitals here. A single bite from the wrong snake or a badly placed step, and you're not just injured. You're done. You continue forward, stick in hand, heart pounding in your ears. You try to stay aware, alert, hyper-vigilant. It works for about 10 minutes. Then the exhaustion creeps in. Not just tiredness, but a soul-deep weariness. Every footstep is heavier. Every muscle aches. Your brain, still buzzing with fear now, has to battle fatigue. And then you hear it. A howl. Not close, but not far enough. A chorus follows. Wolves. Now here's the twist. Wolves in the Stone Age were complicated. Sometimes they were threats. But sometimes, just sometimes, they were the beginnings of something else. Historians still argue whether humans domesticated wolves or if wolves domesticated us. Some evidence suggests a mutual curiosity, a cautious alliance built over scraps of meat and shared space. But the ones you're hearing now, not domesticated, not curious. They're the run now, explain later kind. You start moving faster, slipping between trees, half jogging, half flailing. Every instinct you've inherited from 100 generations of survival kicks in. You duck under branches, leap over logs. A root catches your foot. You fall hard. The air leaves your lungs in a soundless grunt. You scramble to your knees, expecting fangs at any moment. But the forest is quiet again. Uncomfortably quiet. That's when you realize it's not just about escaping danger. It's about avoiding it entirely. Camouflage, stealth, timing. That's how early humans made it through. They learned the terrain, knew where predators hunted, developed language-simple gestures at first, then sounds to warn others, to coordinate survival. You have none of that. Just a sore ankle, a rapidly breaking stick, and a buzzing fear that has lodged itself deep in your spine. You hobble to a boulder and press your back against it, panting. From here, you have a view, forest, sky, shadows, nothing moving. For now, you feel like prey. Because you are prey. And if you're going to make it through this day, you're going to have to learn the oldest truth of the Stone Age. The wild doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't care about your feelings. It just is, and in the middle of it, you are nothing but another warm-blooded opportunity. You're sitting against that boulder, still panting, stick clenched in your dirt-caked hand like a toddler clutching a pool noodle for safety. And then it hits you, not a predator this time. Thank whatever ancient sky god might be listening. It's a new problem, an old problem, really. One that all humans eventually have to deal with. You need to go to the bathroom. Yes, that kind. And suddenly, survival is no longer just about food, warmth, or escape. It's about dignity, or what little scraps of it you can salvage while crouching behind a bush in the prehistoric wilderness. Pants or fur wraps around your ankles, hoping you don't get eaten mid-squat. You shuffle away from your boulder, trying to pick a spot that won't get you ambushed. You consider the wind direction, the terrain, even visibility, things you'd never thought about in the comfort of your porcelain and tile bathroom. But now, every decision matters. A bad location could attract scavengers. A bad choice of leaf afterward could cause a rash that haunts you for days. Early humans didn't have toilet paper, obviously. They used leaves, moss, or even smooth stones. Historians still argue whether they had designated latrine spots in their camps or simply wandered a bit away and hoped the smell didn't follow. Fringe theories even suggest certain communal hygiene rituals, though the evidence is understandably scant and messy. After a tense and undignified few minutes, you re-emerge, cleaner than you feared but still emotionally bruised. There are parts of you you'd rather never revisit again. But congratulations! You've now completed a basic Stone Age rite of passage, pooping outdoors without being eaten alive. Unfortunately, you're still lost, still alone, and your energy is fading fast. It's time to talk shelter. You think of caves, obviously. Everyone does. Blame cartoons and caveman Halloween costumes. But here's the inconvenient truth. Most caves already taken by bears or snakes, or 10,000 years of accumulated bad decisions. Still, you keep an eye out. And sure enough, after wandering another 100 meters or so, you find what looks like a shallow rock overhang. Not quite a cave, but better than nothing. You duck inside, heart racing, stick still clutched like it's Excalibur. The space is cramped, mossy, and dark. It smells like damp animal hair and whetstone, which is somehow comforting. Like nature's version of an old garage, you inspect the space. No fresh tracks, no claw marks, no droppings. You whisper a silent please to whatever universe is watching and decide to settle in for now. Here's the part people forget. Shelter in the Stone Age wasn't just about walls. It was about safety, temperature control, dryness, line of sight. You needed to know the land well enough to build wind barriers, or dig pit shelters, or weave branches into a crude hut. Some archaeological sites suggest early humans used mammoth bones as structural frames draped in hides, which is deeply cool and entirely out of your reach right now. So you do what you can. You stack some branches at the mouth of your little nook. It won't stop a predator, but it might confuse one, or at least delay it long enough for you to scream and flail as the sun starts its slow descent. You realize something else. You're thirsty. The grub helped a little, but your mouth is now dry, lips cracking, tongue sticking to the roof of your mouth like cheap wallpaper. You haven't had a sip of water since you magically appeared here. And it's getting serious. You head out again, carefully, moving low, listening. Eventually, after skirting some mossy ground and dodging a suspicious pile of bones, you find it a trickle of water coming down a slope, collecting in a shallow pool. It's not pristine. It's murky, leaf-filled, and probably teeming with bacteria that would make a microbiologist weep. But in this moment, it's a miracle. You kneel, trembling, and drink. Slow at first, then faster. And then you remember something you should have remembered earlier. Unfiltered water is dangerous. Giardia, dysentery, leptospirosis. Any of them could be swirling in that greenish puddle you just chugged like Gatorade after a marathon. Historians still argue how early humans dealt with waterborne illness. Some say they boiled water when they could. Others suggest immune systems were tougher after centuries of constant exposure. Some fringe theories even propose the use of charcoal or natural clay filters, but there's little definitive proof. You sit back, heart sinking. If you're lucky, nothing happens. If you're unlucky, well, let's just say your digestive tract might have a few dramatic chapters left in it. The sun dips lower, bathing the forest in gold and shadow. You feel the chill creeping back, hunger scratching again, a headache thudding just behind your eyes, but you've survived the basics, at least for now. You've eaten something, found water, avoided being mauled, and, barely, avoided poisoning yourself. It's not exactly thriving, but it's stone age surviving. You return to your shelter and try to make it more comfortable. A few more branches, some moss, a flat stone to sit on. You even try rubbing sticks together, desperate to create fire. You fail, of course. You don't even get smoke. Your hands cramp. Your patience dies. Early humans spent hours crafting fire, and only after mastering tools like flint and iron pyrite. The whole rub two sticks together thing. Doable, but not for amateurs. Not for someone who thinks a lighter is too hard to click sometimes. You sigh. Wrap your pathetic fur tighter and curl into the corner of your nook. The darkness thickens. You're Mind drifts, and you realize something truly uncomfortable. You are utterly, profoundly, terrifyingly alone. The world around you is alive with ancient noises, owl hoots, distant rustles, the whisper of wind through leaves. All of it feels older than language, older than memory. It doesn't care about your smartphone battery or your canceled streaming subscriptions. It just is. And you are here, in the middle of it, with no bed, no lights, and no clue what might be watching you from just beyond the trees. You don't sleep. Not really. At best, you drift in and out, brief, haunted stretches of half-consciousness interrupted by sudden, panicked starts, a snapping branch, the groan of trees swaying, a low animal sound you can't place. Every time your eyelids begin to relax, some prehistoric noise yanks you back into wide-eyed vigilance. And the cold. It's personal now. The temperature has dropped another few degrees, and your one sad layer of fur wrap might as well be a wet napkin. You curl tighter, trying to tuck your hands under your arms, your feet against your thighs. Your teeth begin to chatter involuntarily. You're shivering so violently, it's practically a workout. In the Stone Age, warmth wasn't a comfort, it was a survival metric. Most groups relied on fire, not just for light and cooking, but for body heat. Some slept huddled together, rotating positions so nobody had to take the freezing edge too long. Without fire, shelter, or companionship, hypothermia was always stalking the outskirts of night. You, alone in your sad moss nest, are finding that out the hard way. By the time the first dim gray light begins to spill across the horizon, your entire body is sore. Joints stiff, mouth dry, back aching, and your stomach? That's back, too grumbling with the fury of someone who missed an entire buffet line and has questions. So begins day 2. Except you haven't technically made it a full 24 hours yet. You glance up at the sky, doing mental math. Maybe 16 hours so far, maybe 17. And already, every minute feels like a small war. You stretch out your cramped legs and rise slowly, one hand on the rock wall. Your head throbs, your muscles protest, and your brain, dulled by exhaustion and low blood sugar, is starting to misfire. You think you hear voices or music, something soft, melodic, and utterly impossible. Stone Age humans likely experienced similar hallucinations during extreme stress. Starvation, dehydration, sleep deprivation, these weren't rare events. Some anthropologists believe this is where spiritual visions and mythologies began. The line between exhaustion and epiphany was razor thin. Historians still argue whether shamanic trances were deliberate or the inevitable result of surviving too long without food or rest. But right now, it doesn't feel sacred. It feels weird. Like you've been unplugged from reality and reconnected on the wrong channel. You shake your head, blink hard, and stumble forward. There's something you need more than anything else now. Other humans. You start calling out. Not loud, you don't want to attract last night's toothy visitors, but just enough to echo a little. Hello? Nothing. Anyone. Just birdsong and the soft rustle of breeze through grass. If you had been born here, you'd know what to do. Early humans lived in small bands, rarely more than 25 to 50 people. They were kinship groups, bound by blood or necessity. Everyone had a role: hunter, gatherer, fire tender, tool maker, lookout. Community wasn't optional, it was the lifeline. And without it, you are wildly out of your depth. You crest a ridge and spot something unusual: flattened grass, some broken branches, even what looks like an old fire pit, long cold. Stones arranged in a ring, blackened in the center. Someone's been here. You rush forward, scanning the area for footprints or dropped tools, but there's nothing recent. The fire's long dead. The ash is damp, maybe a day old, maybe more. Still, it means something. You're not alone in this world. Not completely. Somewhere out here, someone made fire. Someone cooked food. Someone knows how to survive. You feel hope, a small flicker, the emotional version of a spark in kindling. It's fragile, yes, but it's also the first truly human feeling you've had since waking up in this prehistoric nightmare. You study the fire ring. There are small bones in the ash, burned, broken open. Someone was cracking marrow. That's a skill. Early humans learned quickly that bones held calories even after the meat was gone. The marrow inside, fatty, rich, slow-burning energy could mean the difference between pushing through or collapsing. You keep moving, following what looks like a faint trail, perhaps left by the group that made the fire. Every snapped branch feels like a clue. Every disturbed patch of dirt, a lifeline. And then you hear it again, rustling. This time not animal, but movement. Upright. 2 feet. You freeze behind a tree, holding your breath so hard your lungs sting. A figure steps into view, maybe 30 meters away. Short, barefoot, carrying something, could be a spear or just a stick. They don't see you. It's a child, maybe 9 or 10, dressed in what looks like layered furs and woven grass. They're focused on the ground, possibly foraging. You take a cautious step forward and crack, a branch underfoot. The child snaps. Their head up, spots you, and bolts into the trees like a startled deer. No wait. You chase after them, heart pounding, ducking under branches, dodging roots, but you're too slow. Your modern muscles weren't built for this terrain. The child vanishes into the forest, footsteps growing faint. You stop, panting, cursing your own clumsiness. But now you know, people are definitely out there. They're real, which means food, warmth, shelter, maybe even rescue is possible. You just have to find them and convince them you're not a threat. Easier said than done. You double back to the fire pit and sit beside it. The sky has brightened, fully now golden, clear, endless. Birds chirp in lazy rhythm. Insects hum like tiny engines. The forest feels almost peaceful in the daylight, almost, but don't get too comfortable. The wild is still here. It's just napping, and it will wake up again. You look at your hands, blistered, dirty, shaking. This is the rawest version of you that's ever existed. No tools, no skills, no real plan, but you're still alive, barely. You're starting to feel like a ghost, wandering this primeval forest, part intruder, part desperate traveler, part extremely underqualified reality show contestant. You sit by the cold fire pit, watching smokeless nothing swirl in the early breeze, wondering how long it takes before someone becomes feral. How many hours of hunger, cold, and isolation until your thoughts stop sounding like your own. You're close, but there's no time for existential crisis now. Your body demands action. Hunger is gnawing again. Your stomach rumbles like a small earthquake. You need protein, and the scattered handfuls of roots and leaves aren't cutting it anymore. You need meat dots, so you do something dangerous. Something truly unhinged. You decide to hunt. Yes, you. The person who once cried when their pizza delivery got delayed is now stalking prey through the wilderness with a stick that still kind of smells like tree sap. You creep through the underbrush, eyes peeled for movement. Rabbits, birds, lizards. At this point, you'd settle for a cricket the size of your thumb if it meant calories. Suddenly, you spot it, a small bird pecking at the ground under a bush. It's twitchy, but it hasn't noticed you yet. You hold your breath, raise your stick, and launch it. The stick lands 3 feet to the left, scaring the bird into a manic blur of feathers as it zips into the sky, leaving you standing like a sad scarecrow with bad aim. Yeah, you're not a hunter. Early humans? They were, not by nature, but by brutal, generational practice. It took years to develop the precision to use spears, bolas, or slings. Historians still argue how often early hunter-gatherers actually brought down large game versus scavenging leftovers from other predators. And some fringe theories even suggest that women played a larger hunting role than traditionally believed, especially in small game tracking. You, however, are still batting 0. But there's another option. Traps. You begin gathering vines and sticks, trying to remember a YouTube survival video you once watched at 3 a.m. about deadfall traps. You carve a crude trigger with a rock shard, prop a heavy branch above it. It looks awful. It looks like the kind of trap that would catch a confused squirrel by the tail and mildly inconvenience it. Still, it's something. You leave it and move on, hoping for a miracle or at least an accident. Then, an unexpected gift. Up ahead, something small and furry is already dead. Roadkill, you think at first, then remember there are no roads. Just luck. It's a rabbit stiff, freshly mauled by something with claws. Whatever killed it apparently got distracted or full and left the carcass behind. You poke it with a stick. It's not moving. Flies haven't set in. You might just be able to cook this. Problem: you still don't have fire. You sit beside your rabbit prize, realizing the absurdity of it all. You've got meat, but no heat. You can't risk eating it raw unless you're hoping to speedrun dysentery. So you try again. Flint and rock, stick and board. Hands rubbed raw. Nothing. The irony bites worse than your hunger. Somewhere nearby, you hear a low grunt. You freeze. Not animal. Human. You drop flat to the ground. Heart thudding. Peering through the ferns, you spot them. 3 figures. Adults this time, all barefoot, all wrapped in layers of fur and fiber. One carries a spear. Another has something slung across their back, maybe a woven bag, maybe a child. They're talking in low, rhythmic bursts of language that makes no sense to you. And they're close. Too close, you should call out, but your modern brain trained on true crime podcasts and worst-case scenario documentaries won't let you. What if they see you as a threat? What if they're territorial? What if the rules of survival don't include strangers? You hold your breath, deciding instead to watch. They move with confidence, grace, like the forest is a map they've memorized. One of them stoops beside a bush, plucks berries, tastes one, and gestures to the others. You wouldn't have dared touch those. You wouldn't even have seen them. They disappear over the ridge, and you exhale. You're still alone. But the memory of their presence lingers like firelight in your chest. You're not the only person struggling to survive out here. It gives you a strange mix of comfort and dread. You turn back to the rabbit. It's your move now, Dot, and here's where desperation makes you reckless. You try to sun-dry the meat. It's a stretch. But you skin the rabbit with your sad rock tool, slice the meat thin, and lay it across a flat stone in the sunlight, hoping it'll lose moisture before bacteria settles in. It smells awful, but it's a plan. Sort of prehistoric people had. Better methods, of course. Smoking meat over low flame. Using ash or salt, if they were near the sea, to preserve it. Some even buried meat in cold earth or snow to slow spoilage. But you've got sunlight and vibes. The hours tick by. You wander, gather a few more plants. Drink sparingly from the same pool as before, knowing it's playing intestinal roulette. You check your trap. It's still empty. You check the meat dryer. But still sketchy. You nibble the edge of one strip. Salty, stringy, gamey, not delicious, but not deadly. Yet. Your body accepts it like a bribe. You feel the calories landing like clumsy relief trucks. Your brain sparks a little brighter. Still, a dark realization creeps in with the afternoon sun. You are burning more energy than you're gaining. Surviving in the Stone Age wasn't just hard, it was mathematically unfair. Every calorie hunted, gathered, or prepared cost more in effort than it gave back. And that's if you succeeded. Most days, you didn't. Survival meant treading water with your metabolism, one misstep away from collapse. You lean back against a tree, chewing rabbit jerky, staring at the shifting sky. Your stick trap still hasn't worked. You still haven't found the group, and you're still only, 20 hours in. 4 more to go. You're past the point of dignity now. If someone plucked you out of the forest and held up a mirror, you probably wouldn't recognize the grimy, sunburnt, leaf-covered wreck staring back. There's a twig in your hair, dirt under your fingernails. You smell like a mixture of sweat, damp moss, and emotional collapse, and still you keep going, because lying down feels like giving up. And giving up feels like dying. So you walk. Not with purpose, exactly, but with motion. Just to keep your muscles warm and your nerves occupied. The forest is gentler in the afternoon, less menace, more melody. Sunlight spears through the canopy in golden shafts. A soft breeze carries scents of wood, earth, and distant pollen. You even start to hum, which is precisely when you hear the growl. It's low. Not angry yet, but present, real, animal. You freeze mid-step. Turn slowly, and there it is. Not 10 meters away, crouched low in the shade, half blended with ferns and rock, is what your instincts identify before your brain catches up. A cave. Lion or something like it. It's huge, not house cat huge. Small couch huge, tawny coat, massive forelegs. Yellow eyes locked on you, utterly unimpressed by your stick and your sun-dried rabbit. Your body screams 2 things at once: run and don't move. So you compromise. You stand there, vibrating slightly, trying not to cry. Panic floods your system like hot oil. You remember something. Something from a nature documentary or a poorly written online survival guide. Don't turn your back. Don't make sudden moves. Make yourself look big. You raise your arms. The lion doesn't care. Historians believe that prehistoric humans had to contend with a now extinct variety of big cats far larger and bolder than today's species. European cave lions, for example, were roughly 25% larger than modern African lions and hunted in prides. Their presence in early human art, etched in stone walls and bone carvings, suggests they were feared, respected, and often avoided at all costs, which is a strategy you're now fully on board. With the lion stands. Muscles ripple, and then, miracle of miracles, it walks away. Slowly, lazily, as if you weren't even worth the calories. You sink to your knees, heart hammering, every cell trembling with leftover adrenaline. Congratulations, you just got dismissed by nature's apex predator. You try to laugh. It comes out as a weird hiccup. It's not even the first time you've almost died today. By the time your heartbeat returns to normal, the sun is tilting westward. Long shadows stretch across the forest floor, and something else shifts to your mood. Because even after all this, after rabbit jerky roulette and failed traps and lion staring contests, you're still alive, and something about that starts to feel empowering. You rise again and climb a low ridge, more carefully this time. From the top, the landscape spills out before you in every shade of green and gold. Forest, grassland, small streams winding like lazy snakes through the valleys. It's breathtaking. Like a painting without the pretense. You wonder if this is what early humans saw not just as home, but as everything. Their grocery store, their church, their playground, their battlefield. And also their graveyard. You start descending the other side when you see it. Movement. This time not people. Not animals. But structures. Just a few. Huts, circular, thatched. Smoke curling from one. Not much, just a faint thread against the sky. But enough to confirm it's real. You rush forward, limbs shaking, feet catching on roots. You slow as you get closer, pulse racing. There's no gate, no guards, just a clearing with 4 or 5 dome-like huts made of bent wood, grass, and mud. A central fire pit. A few woven baskets. You see animal skins drying on a frame, and then you spot people. 3 women. Sitting together. One is grinding something, grains or nuts, between stones. Another tends the fire. A third is carefully cleaning a bone needle. They see you. Time freezes. Then one of them rises, spear in hand. Not pointed, just held. The others follow, staring. You raise your arms. Speak softly. Try to smile, though your lips are cracked and your voice barely works. They say something in return, short syllables. Unfamiliar cadence. You take one step. Closer. The tallest woman says something again, louder this time, gesturing toward a spot on the ground. You sit. There's a long silence. Then one of them steps forward, cautiously. She kneels beside you, examines your arms, your face. She touches your hair. Then, without warning, she offers you a bowl. You look down. It's warm. A stew of some kind. Berries, roots, maybe meat or insects. It smells. Got safe. You drink. The warmth hits your stomach like a benediction. It spreads outward. Your limbs relax. Your thoughts soften. For the first time in nearly 24 hours, you are not alone. There's no celebration, no music, no welcome ceremony. But there's food, there's fire, there's humanity, and you suddenly understand something that no textbook or documentary could ever convey. The Stone Age wasn't about dominance. It was about connection, collaboration, the sharing of skills, of protection, of stories. Without each other, no one made it very far. And now, with this tribe of strangers, your odds have shifted just slightly back in your favor. You sit quietly, letting the fire warm your hands, watching sparks drift up into the darkening sky. And then you smile, not because it's over, but because, now you're still here. By morning, everything has changed. You wake to soft birdsong and the scent of wood smoke. You're lying on a bed of moss and animal hides in one of the round shelters. Someone has placed a woven mat over you during the night. It's itchy, but kind. You blink against the morning light filtering through gaps in the walls, trying to remember where you are. For once, there's no fear, just confusion and sore legs. Then the ache in your stomach reminds you, this is real. You didn't dream the fire, or the rabbit, or the lion, or the women who saved you from becoming a very confused skeleton in the forest. You sit up slowly. Your muscles protest. But your body has adapted, just a little. You're learning to hurt in new, ancient ways. Outside, the tribe is already moving. A few people, men and women, both are packing baskets. One sharpens a flint knife. A child runs past, naked and fearless, chasing a dog-like creature that might be a tamed wolf or just a very confused hyena. Historians still debate the timeline of early animal domestication, especially when it comes to dogs. Some say canines were first drawn to human settlements by scraps. Others argue for a more symbiotic coevolution of hunter and hound. Whatever the truth, one thing's certain: your modern pet pug would not have made the cut. You step out cautiously, trying not to draw too much attention, but you're already being watched. A tall man face marked with ochre, hair tied back. With sinew walks up. He offers you something flat and warm. It's a kind of baked root cake, slightly burnt on the edges but filled with calories. You accept it like a sacred object. You nod, place your hand on your chest. He mirrors the gesture. This, you realize, is language in motion. You spend the day among them, not participating, yet but observing. You're like a ghost, tagging along at the edges of a story you don't understand. They teach by doing. No words. No lectures, just action. One woman shows a teenager how to strip fibers from bark to make cord. Another demonstrates how to crack bone for marrow. You try mimicking their hand motions, and while your fingers fumble, they laugh softly, not mockingly, just amused at your clumsy enthusiasm. One man gestures for you to follow him out toward the edge of the camp. You obey, still half expecting to be abandoned or scolded. But instead, he kneels and begins drawing in the dirt. Simple shapes, trees, rocks, a figure with a spear. It's a map. He points to a clump of trees in the drawing, then gestures to the real horizon. You squint, then recognize the spot. It's where you first tried to make fire. He draws another mark, a stream, then a cluster of berries. People? You're being taught their world. And for the first time, you start to understand that this isn't chaos. It's not random wilderness. It's a system. One that works for them. One that might start to work for you. In the afternoon, they let you help. You carry bundles of grass. You stir a pot. You nearly cut your hand trying to sharpen a stick. Still, your presence is accepted, if not yet fully trusted. And here's something fascinating. This tribe doesn't seem to have a hierarchy, at least not a rigid one. Roles shift depending on the task. The strongest doesn't always lead. Sometimes it's the oldest. Sometimes it's the quietest. Historians still argue about the social structure of early humans. Some evidence points to egalitarian bands where resources were shared and leadership was fluid. Others argue for early forms of patriarchy or even matriarchy, depending on the region and climate. Here you see shared labor, shared fire, shared life. But night brings another test. As the sky darkens, the tribe gathers around the central fire. A woman, the same one who first offered you food, begins to hum. Slowly, rhythmically. The others join in, voices weaving a tapestry of sound, both haunting and beautiful. Then come the stories. No words you understand, but the tone, the gestures, the energy make the meaning clear. This is a tale, a warning, a joke, a memory. Oral tradition in its rawest, most vital form. And you realize that these stories are not just entertainment, they're instruction manuals. How to survive, how to behave, what to fear, what to love. One man mimics the posture of a giant animal, flailing. Dramatically, the children laugh. Someone else holds up a burned stick and draws in the dirt. A bear? A storm? Maybe both. You can't contribute, so you sit back, quietly amazed. And just before the group disperses, someone hands you a sharpened stick. They want you on watch. You freeze. This is trust. This is responsibility. You take your post just beyond the firelight, crouched under a tree, listening to the rustle of wind and night creatures. You grip the stick like a badge of honor, like a key to this strange new world. You don't sleep, but for once, you don't feel entirely out of place either. Just human, in the most ancient, raw sense. The wind bites a little harder tonight, not like the icy slap of a modern snowstorm, no. This is subtler, earthy, creeping. It sifts through the leaves and across your skin with the chill of something older than memory. You're still on watch, crouched just outside the flickering reach of the tribe's fire. Your body aches, your eyes sting, but you're awake. Somehow. Because sleeping now feels dangerous. Not because of lions or wolves, but because you might miss something. You've started to care about the people, about the rhythm of their days, about the fact that if you disappeared, someone might actually notice. It's a strange sensation, and somewhere between the wind and the crackling logs, it dawns on you. This is the closest you've ever been to understanding what it truly meant to be human at the beginning. No screen, no schedule. Just presence. Morning breaks slower than you'd like. You're numb in places you didn't know had nerve endings. Your feet feel like two cold rocks. Your eyelids drag, but you force yourself upright as the first grumbles of camp activity begin. You're greeted with a nod from the tall man who gave you the root cake yesterday. It's a small thing, but it carries weight. You passed the night watch test. Today is a different kind of day. There's a buzz in the air. People are moving with more purpose. Baskets are being filled, spears checked, tools tied with cord and hung from hips. You notice the older members stay back as younger, stronger ones gather near the edge of camp. You're going hunting, or at least they are. You. You're unsure. But when someone tosses you a crude sling and points to the group, you realize there's no choice. You're in this now. No longer a bystander. You're part of the tribe's ecosystem, sort of like the unpaid intern of the Paleolithic era. As you walk, someone hands you a piece of dried meat. You chew it slowly. It's gamey, maybe deer, maybe something weirder, but it's dense with energy. Your modern gut doesn't love it, but your body eats it like gospel. The terrain shifts as you leave the familiar bounds of the forest camp. Tall grass, rolling scrubland, a few scattered trees. You move in a line, spaced out, careful not to make noise. Even the kids, tagging along at the rear, are eerily silent. You catch yourself stepping heavily, breaking twigs. Amateur hour. The man beside you lightly taps your arm and gestures. Walk like this. He glides forward on the balls of his feet, weight low, eyes scanning. You copy him. Badly. But you're trying. Eventually, the group halts at the edge of a small ridge. Below, a herd. Large, slow-moving, shaggy. Mammoths. Real ones. Well, probably woolly. Rhinoceroses, based on their horn silhouettes and the way they graze in clusters. But your brain doesn't care. They're gigantic, majestic, and so mind-bendingly prehistoric that you forget to breathe for a moment. Historians still argue whether early humans hunted these creatures through coordinated ambush or scavenged them post-mortem. Some believe groups drove them into pits or over cliffs. Others think they tracked the old and weak, attacking when the odds were finally tilted. Either way, what you're about to witness isn't some accidental kill. This is planned, practiced. The group fans out. One man stays behind to build a simple trap, a deadfall mechanism using rocks and branches. Another group splits to flank the herd. Your wave toward the middle team. You crouch, heartbeat hammering, sling trembling in your hand like a novelty toy at a very serious sporting event. And then it begins. Shouts erupt from one side of the valley. The animals startle, hooves thunder, dust clouds rise. The flankers push forward, herding the creatures toward the trap zone. It's chaos, beautiful, choreographed chaos. You're swept up in the current. You run. You throw your sling poorly. It flies backward and almost hits someone. They laugh, even mid-hunt. Eventually, one of the beasts falters. It's injured, limping. Spears fly. One lodges deep in its side. Another grazes its leg. It stumbles, and with a horrifying final groan, collapses into the DEADFALL. Silence. And then cheers, brief and breathless. You're panting, bent over, drenched in sweat. But somehow, part of this moment, the tribe swarms the carcass. Not with wasteful glee, but with reverent efficiency. Blades come out, skins peeled, meat carved. Every part has a use. Tendons become cord, bones become tools. Even the fat is saved for lighting or medicine. You help carry chunks of meat back, sticky with blood, hands shaking not from disgust, but from fatigue. You think of your grocery store, of cellophane-wrapped cuts and pre-ground patties. Here, Nothing is hidden. And oddly, that feels honest. The return is slow but triumphant. The older tribe members greet the hunters with nods. Not celebration. Just recognition. Another day survived. Another night secured. Dinner is rich, heavy, primal. You sit near the fire, belly full for the first time since arriving. Someone passes you a shell filled with fermented berry liquid. You sip and gag. Slightly, but smile. It's awful. But it's tradition. Tonight, the stories are louder. The kids mimic the hunt. One of them pretends to be you, slinging rocks backward and falling over. You laugh. They all do. You're part of the story now. And as the flames crackle and the stars blink awake overhead, you realize something very strange. You don't want to go back, not yet. Not to concrete and passwords and electric bills, because for all its danger, filth, and rawness, this life, this shared survival, has something your world lost. Purpose, simplicity, connection, and for the first time since this nightmare began, you're not surviving despite the Stone Age. You're surviving because of it. You wake up to singing. Not the kind you'd expect. No guitars, no melodies from your favorite playlist. This is throat-deep, rhythmic, and strange, more like a chant than a song. It rises and falls in waves, mingling with the morning mist as it curls around the forest edge. You step out of the hut to find the tribe in a circle. Everyone is holding hands, even the children, even the grumpy old man who usually just sharpens flint and glares at you like you're a slightly disappointing fish. They motion for you to join. You hesitate, not because you're scared, but because this feels sacred, important. You walk slowly to the edge, and someone takes your hand. Their palm is rough. So is yours, now. That soft office skin of yours is long gone rubbed raw, then healed tougher. The chant rises, and then stops. The leader steps forward. Well, a leader. There's no single alpha here, just people who lead when needed. She holds a small carved figure in her hand. It's abstract, animal, human, both. She raises it toward the sky, then passes it around. Everyone touches it, murmurs something. When it reaches you, you pause. You whisper, "Thank you." It's all you have. It's enough. The morning ritual ends, and the day begins. You expect more hunting, more firewood, more injuries narrowly avoided by sheer dumb luck. But instead, today is about making. The tools of survival, it turns out, don't grow on trees. Okay, some do. But most are laboriously, painfully crafted by hand. You're guided to a work area beneath a wide tree where several tribe members sit with stones, bones, sinew, and focus that could rival any watchmaker. One woman shows you how to make a hand axe. Not just chipping a rock, no, this is geometry in action. You strike at just the right angle, with just the right force. Too soft and nothing happens. Too hard and the stone shatters. It's like trying to learn origami with a hammer. She watches. You fail. Then she gently takes the rock and shows you again. Tap, turn, tap, twist, crack. A perfect edge. You try again. Worse than before. Still, she smiles. This is patience. This is teaching. Without a single word, Historians still debate when exactly humans developed formal teaching versus observational learning. Did people always stop to instruct? Or was it more about the clever ones mimicking fast enough to survive? Maybe both. In this tribe, it's clear knowledge is currency, but it's shared, not hoarded. Later, you're taken to the river dot not to fetch water, but to shape clay. They're making containers, cooking vessels. One man adds little markings around the edge of a pot. Decorative? Maybe. Or maybe it's a story. Historians argue whether early art was symbolic, religious, or just bored humans with spare time. But as you press your own fingerprint into the wet clay, you realize something. This is how you stay. This is how you leave a mark. You fire the pot in the embers of the morning's fire. It cracks, of course, but it doesn't explode. Small victory. The rest of the day is quieter. You mend your tunic, if it can even be called that anymore. More hide than fabric now. You wrap new cord around your sandals. You scrape old meat from the blade of your borrowed stone knife. These are humble tasks, but they feel right. That night, you sit on a high ridge with one of the younger boys. He's maybe 10, maybe 13. Hard to tell under all that dirt and survival. He's carving something with a bit of bone and humming a tune you think you recognize. It's the same rhythm from this morning's chant, just smaller. Just his .u. Hand him a shiny object from your backpack, a plastic lighter. You've kept it hidden this whole time. He stares. You flick it. Fire erupts in your hand. He gasps, then laughs, then grabs it and flicks it again and again until it stops working empty. Now, just like that, magic becomes mundane. You've introduced technology to the Stone Age. Oops, still. He smiles at you like you've given him treasure. And in that moment, you wonder if he survives, if this tribe survives, and your lighter is passed down for generations. Would that plastic shell become a relic, a holy object, the lighter of fire gods? You almost choke laughing, Dot, and as the stars bloom above, you find yourself whispering thanks, not to any god in particular, just to the sky, to the wind, to the people, to yourself. You made it this far. One more day, one more fire. You don't know how this ends, but you know this. You are no longer just visiting the Stone Age, you're living in it. You wake to rain. Soft at first, just the whisper of droplets brushing the leaves, but soon it becomes a steady curtain, cold, unapologetic, and unlike any storm you've known back home. This one doesn't come with forecasts or friendly notifications. There's no warning, no radar app, just instinct. Just soaked hair and a rising sense of oh no. The hut leaks, of course. Your bedding, woven reeds and a deer hide, is now more sponge than mattress. The fire's long gone, steam curling up from its muddy corpse like a final sigh. And the tribe, they're already moving, not in panic, in purpose. They've seen this before. You scramble out, slipping a little in the wet clay that's rapidly becoming the camp's flooring. Everyone's grabbing supplies, tools, baskets, food caches, and lifting them onto high stones or hanging them from trees. It's a dance, one they've rehearsed 100 times without rehearsal. You just try not to drop anything important. Eventually, someone tosses you a bundle wrapped in hide. You carry it without question, stumbling through ankle-deep water. Toward the forest's edge, a few kids run past you barefoot, laughing despite the cold. They splash like it's just another Tuesday, because it is. Historians still argue how early humans interpreted weather was rain divine punishment, a seasonal god's tears, or just part of life. Maybe they never asked. Maybe they just adapted. By midday, the forest has become a swamp. Your clothes are drenched, your hands raw from climbing and hauling. But something changes. Something subtle. You stop feeling sorry for yourself because no one else does. They don't have time for it. Survival doesn't leave space for self-pity. And oddly, that makes you feel lighter. Like you're finally carrying your own weight here. Then comes the real challenge. A loud crack echoes through the forest. At first, you think it's thunder, but no, it's closer. Heavier. A tree? Maybe. You move with the others to investigate. Someone's already sprinted ahead. Shouts bounce through the trees, fast and sharp. And then you see it. One of the boys, the same one from last night's lighter trick, is lying on the ground. His leg twisted beneath a fallen branch. A big one. Maybe lightning struck. Maybe the storm's weight just snapped it. Either way, he's not getting up. The tribe circles fast. No panic. Just movement. Two men begin cutting the branch away while a woman kneels to check his breathing. He's conscious, pale, biting back sound. You move closer. Another woman holds his hand, whispering gently. You can't understand the words, but the tone is enough. Reassurance, steadiness. And then you watch something you'll never forget. They splint his leg with a straight branch, tightly wrapped with sinew. One person holds him. Another sets the bone with a grim crack. He screams. You look away, not out of weakness, out of respect. When it's over, he's carried back like a prince on a stretcher of hides and poles. Not discarded, not left behind. Because in this tribe, injury doesn't mean uselessness. It means adaptation. You help with the stretcher. Your arms tremble, feet slipping in the mud, but you don't quit. Not now, not ever. Later, back at the camp, the rain slows. Not quite. Ends, just calms. The sky shifts from steel gray to a lighter, misty blue. The fire is coaxed back to life with dry tinder kept inside someone's tunic all day. Genius. Dinner is quiet. Root stew. Tough meat. No one talks much. The boy is asleep, his leg carefully elevated near the fire. His mother, or maybe his aunt, sits beside him all night, eyes wide open. You eat slowly, grateful, for warmth. For soup. For another day. As the firelight flickers, someone begins to hum again. That same tune. The circle reforms. Not out of joy, but necessity. Ritual, memory, solidarity. You're drawn in without question. You sit down. Let your fingers relax in the dirt. Let your mind slow. One woman takes a strip of wet bark and begins to draw shapes in the mud. Symbols, arcs, maybe maps, maybe stories. No one interrupts. She doesn't explain. She doesn't need to. This is the part of the Stone Age you never expected. The art. The time for art. Historians still argue whether Paleolithic people had the luxury to create or whether creativity was a survival tool. These drawings, these songs, these dances, they aren't decorations. They're anchors. They remind the tribe who they are, where they came from, and maybe where they're going. You press your hand into the wet earth beside her markings, just for a moment. Then lift it. Your print stays. It's not much, but it's yours. That night, curled beneath a slightly drier hide, you listen to the forest breathe. No hum of engines, no glow of screen light. Just dripping leaves and distant animals and the quiet. Heart of a world not built by algorithms. You're not just surviving anymore. You're participating. And somehow, impossibly, you're at peace. You wake up stiff. Not sore like after a workout, sore like your spine forgot how to be a spine. Your sleeping spot is still damp, and your right side has developed an oddly specific grudge against tree roots. But the sun is out again, finally. Its light slants through the trees in golden ribbons, catching on droplets still clinging to the leaves. Steam rises from the wet earth. The whole forest smells like compost and rebirth. The tribe is already moving. You've stopped wondering how they always wake up before you. It's like they operate on some internal sunrise-sensed alarm clock. Or maybe they never sleep deeply. Always half alert for predators, floods, or opportunistic BOARS. Today, the mood is different, more focused. Tense, maybe. There's a murmured conversation, serious tones, sharp gestures toward the horizon. The older man with the scarred cheek says something while holding a knotted string. You've seen him use it before, tapping each knot as he talks. Like a calendar made of twine. You ask someone what's going on. They point upward, not at the sky. Not at birds. At the mountains. Turns out, today is travel day. You think they're joking. They're not, apparently. This part of the year, just after the rains, is the safest window to cross higher ground and reach the seasonal hunting grounds. Big game, better water. Less risk of, crocodiles in your bed. But it's a long walk, several days. Maybe more. You gulp. The preparation begins. Tools are bundled in reed packs. Meats and dried berries are tied in skin sacks. Fire starting. Bundles are tucked into leather pouches and strapped onto backs. One woman gathers clay pots into a net made of twisted vine designed to swing without breaking. You're handed your own bundle. It's heavier than expected. Probably because they're assuming you'll carry something useful this time. You try to protest. A shrug is all you get in return. The march begins mid-morning. It's not exactly a parade. More of a single file slog up a narrow, muddy trail carved between dense underbrush and the occasional boulder the size of a van. Children ride on shoulders. Elders lean on walking sticks. No one complains, except you, quietly, internally. But it's there. Your modern legs used to elevators and Uber rides aren't thrilled. Your backpack digs into your collarbones. And at one point, you're fairly certain you stepped directly into something that used to be alive. And then, the bees, not a swarm, just a nest you accidentally disturb with your face while ducking under a low-hanging branch. You yelp, loudly, swat. Panic. The tribe? They laugh. Not cruelly, just knowingly. They've all been stung. It's a rite of passage. You get 3 stings. One on your arm, one behind your ear, and one right in your pride. They smear something on it, a greenish salve that smells like mint and rot. It works, sort of. At least your ear doesn't swell shut. By afternoon, you reach a rocky outcrop with a view. And for a moment, you forget your aches. The land below stretches wide and green, with the silver of a river winding through it like a snake made of mirrors. You see distant smoke, maybe another tribe, maybe just lightning's leftovers. The sky is a deep, rich blue, so vivid it almost hurts. You sit in silence. Everyone does. It's a shared pause, an agreement to just be. Historians still debate how early humans viewed landscapes, whether they thought of territory as sacred, strategic, or simply useful. But looking out now, it's clear this view means something to them. It might mean something to you too. You walk on. That night, you camp on a ledge just wide enough for fires and sleeping rolls. Someone sets up a perimeter with dangling shells that clink softly in the breeze. Early warning system. Genius. You volunteer to keep first watch, trying to make up for the beefing. The stars come out. And wow, you've never seen them like this. Not from your balcony. Not from your campsite with LED flashlights and Bluetooth speakers. This is ancient sky. No light pollution. Just a billion blinking, unknowable mysteries. You lie back, neck cramping, eyes wide. You whisper to no one, "I'm so small." And for once, it's not terrifying. You hear footsteps behind you. The boy from earlier, the one with the healing leg, has hobbled over on a crutch made of a bent branch and sinew. He sits beside you, says nothing, just looks up. You pass him. A scrap of dried meat. He grins. And together, you fall into a quiet that's older than language. Older than survival. Just two humans, under the stars. You wake up mid-hike. Not literally. You didn't sleepwalk. But your body certainly feels like it never stopped walking overnight. Everything aches. Your calves, your back, even your eyebrows for some reason. The ledge camp offered incredible stargazing, sure, but zero ergonomic support. A chiropractor would have a field day with you. Still, there's no time to linger. The tribe rises early again, packing quickly and without fuss. There's a rhythm to the way they tie their bundles and roll their hides like dancers in a ritual. You've only just begun to learn. No one gives orders. They simply move, and you move with them. Today's journey is harder. Steeper trails. Slippery slopes. At one point, the path narrows so much that you're balancing on a ledge no wider than your foot, with a sheer drop on one side and a wall of jagged rock on the other. One wrong move, and it's an express ticket to the afterlife. You freeze for a moment, just a moment. Your foot hovers. You think of modern comforts, coffee, warm showers, a working toilet. And yet, weirdly, it's not those things that pull you through. It's the voice behind you. The oldest woman in the tribe, small, hunched, with hair like river moss, mutters something that you don't understand, but it sounds like, "Keep going." Or maybe just, "Don't fall." Either way, you do. You make it across. The rest of the day is a blur of motion, climbing, resting, climbing again. But what catches you off guard is the silence. Not awkward silence. Sacred silence. This isn't a world of endless chatter and background noise. Here, silence is a tool, a friend, a warning. You start to understand why. At one point, someone raises a hand. Everyone stops. You freeze mid-step, holding your breath. Then you hear it too, Rustling ahead, not wind, not birds. Something heavier. Everyone drops low. A few of the hunters crawl forward, spears in hand. You watch from behind a tree, heart pounding. Seconds stretch like hours. And then you see it in a urochs.massive.woolly.majestic. Single quotes, s grazing near a clearing, completely unaware of the dozen eyes tracking its every movement. Your brain scrambles for information. Early humans hunted these beasts, yes, but rarely. Alone. It took coordination, bravery, absolute timing. And today you're going to witness it. The trap is subtle. Two flanking hunters position themselves. Then one makes a soft whistling sound. The aurochs lifts its head, ears twitching. Then it snorts and turns right into the ambush. Spears fly. One misses, one hits. The creature bellows and charges, blood already staining its fur. You gasp as it barrels toward one of the younger hunters. But another spear hits true. The auroch stumbles, crashes to the earth with a thud that echoes like a closing door. The forest falls quiet. The tribe doesn't cheer. They approach with reverence, touching the animal, murmuring thanks. A small circle forms. A song begins, not joyful, but respectful. Even the children stay quiet. Historians still argue whether these rituals were religious or simply cultural norms. But one thing's clear, this isn't just food. It's a life. And they honor it. You help with the butchering. Yes, it's gross. Yes, it's smelly. But there's something deeply grounding about it. You're not removed from your food anymore. No plastic packaging. No expiration dates. Just meat, bone, skin, and the knowledge that you helped provide this. That night, the feast begins. You sit in the glow of a massive fire, surrounded by warmth, laughter, and the rich scent of roasted meat. Someone hands you a carved wooden bowl. The stew is thick and savory auroch meat, wild garlic, tubers. The best thing you've ever tasted. You don't even ask for hot sauce. A boy drums on a hollow log. Two girls dance, their feet kicking up sparks. An elder tells a story, something about a bear spirit who stole fire from the sky. You don't understand the words, but the hand motions and sound effects make you chuckle. Someone offers you a cobble. Someone offers you a kamakand. But the hand motions and sound effects make you chuckle. Someone offers you a fajantkin chu. Shako a faichu a. Carved be a sign, they say, that you made it. A mark of inclusion. You slip it onto your wrist. It means more than you expected. Later, as the fire burns low, you sit beside the boy with the healing leg. His face is calm now. The pain still flickers in his eyes, but it's no longer the center of his world. You ask him how he stays so strong. He points to his chest, then to the sky, then to the tribe. Simple answers, profound truth. You lie down near the edge of the camp, your belly full, your muscles aching in that satisfying, earned way. The stars twinkle above, so familiar now, they almost feel like friends. And as your eyelids drift shut, you realize something strange. You're not afraid anymore. Not of the forest, not of the cold, not even of tomorrow. You belong. You awaken to birdsong. Not the digital kind your phone mimics. This is the real deal. Sharp trills, low warbles, the distant hoot of something possibly way too big to be a bird. The Stone Age alarm clock isn't snoozable, but it's oddly peaceful. You open your eyes to filtered sunlight and the faint scent of ash from last night's fire. Your legs protest the motion, but your mind? Calm. Something has shifted. It's the final leg of the journey down from the high trail toward a wide, grassy valley the tribe calls home for the next season. A place of clean water, game trails, and luxury of luxuries, fewer biting insects. Still, the descent is tricky. The terrain is steep and uneven, and you must lean your full weight on a stick someone thoughtfully handed you this morning. The footing is slippery with early dew. You slip once, twice, but catch yourself. Mostly. A few bruises are added to the ever-growing collection. The valley opens before you like a painting. Green stretches far in every direction, broken by clusters of trees and winding streams. Herds of grazing animals move like living shadows across the land. Smoke from other small fires curls in the distant signs of other groups. Cousins, maybe. Competitors. The distinction here is always a little blurred. At the center of the valley. The tribe stops. This is the spot. Everyone sets down their bundles and immediately splits off into purposeful chaos. Some gather stones to mark territory. Others inspect tree roots or test the ground with sharpened sticks. The children are told, quite sternly, not to wander into the high grasses unless they want a personal encounter with a venomous snake. You get a task. 2. Digging. 4. Post holes, apparently. You're not entirely sure what you're building, but the work is oddly satisfying. Your hands know the rhythm now. Dig, scoop, breathe. The air is lighter here. The wind carries scents of wild herbs and distant rain. And for the first time since arriving, you don't feel like an outsider doing cosplay survival. You feel like part of something. A structure begins to rise, wooden poles lashed together with vines, forming a sloped roof. Shelter. Basic, yes, but earned. The tribe moves around it like bees in a hive, each person knowing what to do, when to do it. It's like watching a human symphony with no conductor. Lunch is quiet, not solemn, just content. The meat is cold, the roots slightly bitter, but you eat every bite. You've learned not to waste food out here. You've learned not to waste anything, actually time, strength, or the warmth of sunlight on your shoulders. In the afternoon, the shaman approaches you. She's always been a bit of a mystery-painted face, bone ornaments, a voice like gravel dragged through honey. She hands you something wrapped in animal skin. Inside is a small, flat stone etched with a symbol. You raise an eyebrow. She taps your chest, then the stone, then makes a motion of encircling something invisible in the air. You don't understand her words, but you understand her meaning. You're not just surviving anymore. You're a part of the story now. The Stone Age wasn't just about hardship, it was about community, resilience, adaptation. Historians still debate whether Paleolithic humans had concepts of belonging in the same way we do today, but the look in her eyes suggests they did. And maybe even better, the rest of the day slips by in slow waves. You help dig a fire pit, line it with rocks. You rinse your arms in a cool stream and watch a frog the size of your fist do absolutely nothing for 20 minutes. You listen to a story told in a series of gestures and facial expressions. You laugh at a joke that probably didn't survive the translation. And finally, night falls. Your second night in the valley. Your 15th in the Stone Age. You're lying on a bed of dry reeds, wrapped in a hide that smells like smoke and salt. The stars above you blink like they're trying to send a message. Maybe they are dot, and for the first time you don't want to leave. Sure, you miss toothpaste and privacy, and not constantly worrying about things with fangs. But something here, something ancient and honest, has burrowed into you. You've seen how fragile modern comfort really is, dot, and how strong you can be when stripped of it. You've learned that fear doesn't mean failure. Hunger doesn't mean hopelessness. And silence doesn't mean you're alone. You close your eyes, and the last thing you hear is someone softly drumming a rhythm, steady, slow, like a heartbeat, dot, and then the wind down begins. Your breath slows. The firelight dims in your memory, now no more than a flicker beneath your closed eyelids. Around you, the sounds of the ancient night settle into a soft, hush, gentle wind moving through grass. The crackle of embers, the occasional distant howl, far enough away to feel unreal. Your body feels heavier now, not with fear, but with the calm weight of knowing you did it. You walked the paths they walked. You braved their cold. You tasted their hunger, their laughter, their silence, and somehow you made it through, not untouched, but transformed. The Stone Age was never meant to be comfortable. Not really. It was a time of sharp edges and soft hearts, of simplicity braided with survival, of moments stretched long enough for starlight to feel like language. And as your mind drifts further, now softer, slower, you carry a piece of that world with you. Not just the dirt under your fingernails or the ache in your knees, but the connection, dot, to the ones who came before, dot, to the raw, unscripted pulse of being alive, dot. So breathe in now, deeper. Let the last of that ancient wind pass through you, cool, steady, kind, dot. Feel the stone bead still on your wrist, and let yourself go into sleep, dot, into quiet, into the dark, safe cave of dreams.